Living Well Inc. is a small business currently operated by Sala. She offers a wide variety of services and products to an older demographic. Sala's business is rapidly growing. She currently has 4 brick-and-mortar stores across Canada. She has an online selling platform that also allows countries such as the United States and Western Europe to access her products. The topic that we are relating Sala's business to is electronic marketing and advertising laws and regulations. Throughout this report, we will describe the details of electronic marketing and examine a collection of statutes and regulatory bodies that govern advertising, as well as the rules that surround them. We will then choose 2 of the listed statutes and regulatory bodies and perform an in-depth analysis and relate them to Sala's business, as well as provide 6 recommendations to manage electronic marketing and the components of her company.
Electronic marketing and advertising laws and regulations are rules with which businesses must comply when trying to attract new customers to their brand. The Government of Canada categorizes such laws and regulations into 5 segments: advertising and promotion, sales and customer service regulations, banned and restricted products, product labeling, and anti-competitive and fraudulent practices. These rules are implemented by the federal government to guide and protect consumers and to help maintain the validity of the internet as a legitimate marketing service. Advertising and promotional rules explain that you must be truthful in advertising the benefits of your product to consumers. They cover areas such as permits and license, Canada's anti-spam legislation, how to fight spam, mass marketing fraud, and much more. Sales and customer service regulations explain how satisfactory customer service is important to the overall success of the business. They also stress that guaranteeing proper treatment of your customers requires your business to comply with regulations or standards related to sales and customer service. Banned and restricted products are products that are not legal to sell in Canada, such as restrictions and with regards to banned or dangerous ingredients, mandatory safety requirements, voluntary standards, and some banned or restricted products may be regulated if they're licensed and approved. Product and labeling rules state that there are bounds to maintain when communicating the value of your product to consumers. The Government of Canada also indicates that rules may be more or less restrictive depending on the product, and suggests that you learn about the specific restrictions on your products before you create them. Finally, anti-competitive and fraudulent practice laws indicate that businesses must be mindful and ensure that they do not undertake in any business practices that unfairly reduce competition in their industry.
Like any online business, Living Well Inc. is governed by numerous laws and regulations and regulatory bodies in order to keep consumers safe and the marketplace not only fair but competitive as well. So multiple organizations govern different segments of Sala's business due to the diversity as well as breadth of the company itself. But right now, I'm going to dive into the specific regulatory bodies that govern the different aspects of Sala's business in relation to online advertising and marketing. The delivery of digital advertising in Canada is primarily regulated by the Canadian privacy legislation, as well as the anti-spam legislation, or CASL, which Raven is going to dive into later. Additionally, the Competition Bureau of Canada also has specific guidelines for online internet advertising and marketing. Periodically, this bureau will even conduct online internet sweeps for online misleading advertising, and in recent years this has even been in conjunction with the ICPEN, or International Consumer Enforcement Network, and this is just another reason why it's absolutely imperative for Sala to abide by these rules of online advertising. Overall, internet advertising and marketing can be governed by a bunch of different things like privacy laws, provincial consumer protection legislation, criminal code fraud offenses, as well as common law defamation rules. With such a wide variety of products and services, as well as having both a physical location as well as an online selling platform, Sala is governed by multiple organizations and agencies, and these range from anything to the Consumer Protection Bureau, Health Canada, CIPO, CFIA, as well as the Anti-Fraud Center, and many, many more. Now, in relation to online advertising, if Sala wants to drive online traffic to her products and services, she must abide by these numerous laws and regulations in order to not run into any legal trouble down the road, especially given the fact that she is selling things like food products and medical devices in multiple countries to an older demographic.
Following up where Bailey left off, I will now address some of the statutes in place in her chosen area of business. First, there's the Competition Act. The Federal Competition Act is Canada's main legislation that governs misleading advertising, but it is not the only one in place. The Competition Act contains both civil and criminal misleading advertising provisions that apply to false or misleading claims made to promote the supply or use of a product. Much like the tort of negligence, there is a process to determine if something is considered misleading. It must be proven that a representation has been made, the representation was made to the public, it was promoting a product or business interest, it is objectively false, and that the claim is material, i.e., it's likely to influence someone to buy or otherwise alter their conduct. Everything previously listed was under the civil provision. Misleading advertising under the criminal provision is mostly the same, with the only additional step being that the claim must have been made knowingly or recklessly. It is important for Salah to recognize exactly what her products are so she can advertise them truthfully to her potential customers. And secondly, I'm going to touch on Canada's anti-spam legislation, or CASL, which was created in 2014 to protect consumers and businesses from the misuse of digital technology, including spam and other electronic threats. Spam, as it relates to Living Will Inc., would consist of unauthorized alteration of transmission data, false or misleading electronic representations, harvesting of addresses, or the collection of personal information. Because part of Salah's business is run through an online store, she must understand how to take care of the information she receives from her customers. This includes keeping it safe from outside sources, as well as not abusing it in her own right.
And now we will discuss in depth what Bailey and Raven discussed. In order for Salah's business to market online, they must comply with the Canadian Radio, Television and Communications Commission, or CRTC. The CRTC is the main regulatory body of all electronic communication, both on a business and individual level in Canada. The CRTC would be Salah's online marketing materials in need to comply with in Canada. This would mean Salah would have to ensure that her advertising complies with the Competition Act. The Competition Act outlines the illegal marketing actions that Salah's marketing could be responsible for. These include misleading customers with false or deceptive statements or claims, and they must ensure that the correct explanation of warranty and life of the product is explicitly stated. Another important piece of legislation put forward in 2014 by the CRTC is the Canadian Anti-Spam Law, or CASL. This regulates electronic marketing, particularly malicious or unsolicited advertisements. The CASL Act regulates all major aspects of data, electronic messages, services, or other major online communication activities. Salah must ensure that all data, like personal addresses, is attained with direct consent from her consumers. Lastly, an amendment to the CASL called the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, or PIP-EDA, explicitly states that personal information may not be used for commercial use without explicit consent of the individual. This is regulated by the CRTC. The PIP-EDA also holds strict liability for the company whose marketing uses the data if not retrieved through consent. And Salah must ensure that any data she collects and uses in her marketing campaigns is compliant with all CRTC regulations.
Finally, we're going to be diving into some of our recommendations for Living Well Incorporated. Recommendation number 1 would be to hire an online marketing manager. Recommendation number 2 would be to research and understand electronic and digital advertising and promotion laws, especially regarding the labeling of her various products. Recommendation number 3 would be to hire a lawyer experienced in the US as well as Canadian marketing and legislation. Recommendation number 4 would be to partner with established agencies in the countries that she's going to be operating in. Recommendation number 5 would entail implementing a click-wrap agreement on her website that clearly states all of the terms of use and conditions for her products and offerings, as well as the website itself. Finally, option number 6 would be to enable a self-checkout system, i.e. PayPal, to avoid customer information being accessed illegally or abused.